All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session on the Prevention Plus Wellness Program online strategies training. I think we also had another title to this, Implementing Prevention Plus Wellness Programs Online. Same same training, 1 hour session. We are recording this, and for all of you who have registered for today's session, I'll send you a link to this recorded training webinar, 1 hour in length, which you're welcome to, and I encourage you to share widely among your friends and colleagues in your region and state. So at the end of today, before the day is out, I will send everyone who's registered a link to this recorded session, as well as a link to the PowerPoint slides and a attachment, a certificate for 1 hour CEU. Just type your name in and print out a copy for your records. So if you don't receive anything from me at the end of the day, check your spam folders because of that attachment. Sometimes things end up being sent to your spam. So thank you so much for joining. This is one of the most popular training sessions that we provide. This is, I think, the 4th time we've offered this, and well over the amount of people that are allowed to be on this session, but because not everyone hops on at the same time, usually things work out pretty well and everybody's able to access the training, and hopefully that's the case today. So my name is Dr. Chudley Wirch. I'm president and founder of Prevention Plus Wellness, located here in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. And as I say this, I look out my window and it is a gorgeous sunny day. And I hope it's nice where you're at. I hope you're all safe and you're doing well where you're at. Thank you for joining us. I know we have people from throughout the country and maybe even abroad joining for today. So we'll run about 50 minutes or so, and then have the last 10 minutes for Q&A. I'm happy to stay as long as you'd like to answer any questions or have any discussion with you through the live chat mechanism that you have on your Zoom platform. So let's go ahead and take a look at what today's objectives are for today. The first is to describe step-by-step methods for providing and implementing the Prevention Plus Wellness or PPW programs live online to youth, either individually, that's the most tailored format for our programs, or to youth in groups. But the key word there is online. So we have provided this content and tools so that for those of you that are using or will use Prevention Plus Wellness programs, whether those be our evidence-based programs like the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program for youth, or In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness Program for young adults, or our evidence-informed programs, vaping, marijuana, opioid prevention plus wellness, Sport 2, In God's Image. All of our programs, if you want to provide them not just face-to-face, but now make that transition to offer them live with your youth. So that's what this is all about, today's training, and we'll walk you through all of that. Number 2, second objective is to list step-by-step methods for providing the Prevention Plus Wellness programs by recorded video. That's an option. You can provide them live. I'll go over instructions for you to do that and tools to help you do that today. But you could also provide these programs by recorded video that we provide. Thirdly, explore tools for monitoring and evaluating online Prevention Plus Wellness program quality and effectiveness. I think that's one of the big advantages of providing your programs online, is that we are going to give you tools so that it's going to be quite easy for you to monitor and to ensure accountability and potential effectiveness of your programs that are provided online. And lastly, number 4, identify PPW program online training and resources. So there's a number of advantages to Prevention Plus Wellness programs over most other evidence-based and non-evidence-based prevention strategies. Prevention plus wellness programs, almost all of them are a single session, and they are either evidence-based, meaning that they've been rigorously evaluated by research, found to be effective. Those results have been published in refereed journals, scientific journals, and then they get listed on evidence-based registries like NREP or Blueprints for Healthy Youth Development or others. That's evidence-based, or our programs are evidence-informed, meaning that they're founded on our other evidence-based programs, which are Sport and InShape. But keep in mind, all prevention plus wellness programs could be considered or may be considered evidence-based practices according to SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, because they are brief interventions, screening and brief intervention. So that's the description of all of our programs. And because they're a single session, just one session, although there's options and tools to expand beyond that, because they're a single session, I think providing them both face-to-face as well as online is much more practical than multi-session prevention programs, 6 and 8 and 12 and 15 and longer number of sessions. So a single session program, you can really get a public health effect because you should be able to reach all of your youth or young adults in your region and state with that essential prevention message and prevention strategy, just one session. All prevention plus wellness programs are scripted. That means that increases replicability over time and across implementer, and makes it easier to provide, reduces training time. You also have the option to provide prevention plus wellness programs. Again, whether you provide them online or in person, you can provide them to individual youth, one-on-one, or to groups of youth. We have a 2-hour live online training program. There's also a 2-hour online train-the-trainer workshop. So you can get trained online to be an implementer in 2 hours. And then you could be, in another couple of hours, be trained to be a trainer of other providers, whether those are other professionals or youth in your area. And then lastly, we have optional built-in, but optional pre-post program evaluation surveys, which you don't always see. They are scannable, but also now we also have them online. So your youth can complete the pre and post testing online so that you can track program fidelity and effectiveness. Now, let's take a look at the ranking of the preference for providing a prevention plus wellness programs. Face-to-face, that's how they were originally developed. That is the ideal way that they should be implemented if you can. First of all, face-to-face, one-on-one with the youth or individually, if not in a group. The second best way to provide them, in my opinion, is live online, because live online allows an interactive learning experience that also includes audio and video. The third best way to provide these is perhaps through recorded video. We have recorded video of our implementation. If you wanted to, you could record yourself implementing them and share that way. So that's a third option. And then the last option would be some of these other strategies for reaching youth remotely. Some of our providers are going to be implementing prevention plus wellness programs by telephone. That gives you the auditory experience, but unless you make some adaptations, it eliminates that visual component, which is important for many youth and learning. Correspondence is another, emails another approach for implementation and others. So that's the ranking in terms of preference, but we're focusing again today on online. Now the preferred one-on-one or individual face-to-face protocol is very simple. So if you were to implement, or maybe you have already implemented some of our prevention plus wellness programs one-on-one with youth, 4 simple steps. Step number 1, you show the first program slide and you provide the script introduction. You follow the script to provide an introduction to the program. Secondly, you implement the screening survey to the youth or young adult, the individual youth or young adult. Thirdly, you provide feedback that's tailored to the screening responses of that youth while showing them the program slides. And then fourth, you provide a goal plan contract, co-sign it, they co-sign it, and that increases their self-regulation skills and initiates that behavior change process. The other preferred way to implement prevention plus wellness programs face-to-face are in a group. Very similar four-step process. First, you show your initial program slide. You provide the introduction following the script. Secondly, you implement the screening survey to the group. Thirdly, you provide feedback while showing your program slides, but this feedback is not individualized to each single student in the group. And then, so it's a little less customized. And then fourthly, you provide the goal plan contract and have your youth sign and you co-sign it. And so that goal plan ends up really does making the intervention customized. Youth are customizing it to their interests, their needs, their desires for future images and behaviors through that goal setting process. So those are the four steps. So now let's take a look at the steps, a little bit more complicated, but then again, we're going into greater detail so you could understand this. How could you or would you implement your prevention plus wellness program? It doesn't matter if it's sport, if it's in shape. It doesn't matter if it's sport for high school, middle school, elementary. It doesn't matter if it's vaping prevention plus wellness, any of our programs. How would you implement them online if you were to provide them to a single youth online? So we're going to start with that protocol, the one-on-one or the individual online, remote online protocol. So here are the steps. Step number one is, first of all, you have to start with some kind of a video conferencing service. We're using Zoom today. A lot of people throughout the country are using Zoom. You can use GoToMeeting, Google Classroom. My wife's a special ed teacher here in Jacksonville, Florida. They're using, the whole county's using, Duval County's using a Microsoft platform. So you have to have a platform, not just select it because you're not likely to be selecting it. Your organization, your agency is likely making that decision. But you do need to become familiar with it. You do need to become comfortable with the platform. And so if I could use my wife again as an example, she's been teaching kids in our area for, I'd say, about a month now, transition from the face-to-face to, the online education. And at first she had, it was a steep learning curve for her. She is much more comfortable with the Microsoft platform now. And while at first she was a bit frustrated with it and really didn't think there was much good coming from the interaction, she now believes that since she's gotten more comfortable and knows how to best use the platform, has come to believe that it's really important to stay in contact with her special needs kids. And so the technology, while it's not face-to-face, it does offer considerable importance to reach out, to connect, to educate with young people, and it does have some advantages even over face-to-face. So number one, you got to have a video conferencing platform, and you really need to become comfortable with it. What are your options for? Look at Zoom here. Here's what we've got. I'm able to show you content on my screen. I'm showing you a slide, and you could see me visually. Now, in this case, because we have over 100 people participating, I don't have everybody's microphone on. I don't have everybody's video on. If I had everybody's video on, the pictures would be about that big. So in this particular case, we're just going to communicate back and forth through the live chat, through typing responses back and forth. If we only had a handful of people, let's say I was just teaching one student or 2, 3, 4, 5 students, then we would have more of a meeting setup. I would, so that I would allow everybody's video to be on. If they had that capability, everybody's microphone would be on so I could hear them talking. So it depends on the technology available, the technology that you have and your youth have, and the platform options as well. Step number 2, you're going to send your youth participants a link to the Prevention Plus Wellness Program lesson, date and time, and you could send them a link to an optional pretest. So we now provide a link to a pretest your program. You're able to send youth a link before your lesson, a link after the lesson for the pre-post test, and then you'll be able to collect pre-post data to monitor program effectiveness very easily. You don't have to handle the data. It's all being collected online. We will send you a link if you want to use it. We will customize the link to your organization so that just your organization will have that data. And so, so this online platform is really a great opportunity for you to increase monitoring of program fidelity and effectiveness. Step number 3, you're going to ensure that your setting is private to the extent possible. Because remember, now you're talking to one youth. We're assuming that most likely they're at a home setting. You want to have them be in a quiet place if they could shut a door, but then you have to assume that it's not private, because that communication could be overheard by somebody else in the home or the house or that setting. But ask them to have it be private as they can for the purposes of protecting their that discussion between you and them. Remember, you are talking about their health habits, and so try to make it as private as possible, but assume that it's not. So keep that in mind when you communicate with them, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. Number 4, you're going to show the first program slide from your Prevention Plus Wellness program, and then you're going to provide the script introduction. You're going to follow the script, introduce the program, and that's all in your program manuals. And the slide, along with all your reproducible materials, is in your digital download. That's how we provide Prevention Plus Wellness programs. You get a program manual with your scripts for implementing a program one-on-one or in a group, face-to-face or online. And then you get a digital download of your PowerPoint slides and all your reproducible materials so that you can implement them to countless youth. It's that single purchase, which really ends up saving you and your organization a lot of funding. Number 5, you're going to show your screening survey items on the program slides. So new program slides, we've updated them. The screening survey items are on the program slides. This makes it easier for you. You can just show the slides. Your youth, whether it be one youth or a group of youth, can see their questions. They can answer the questions on a sheet of paper while you go through these screening survey items. And so it's all built within the program, within the slides. Easy implementation, whether it's in person or online. And that's the advantage of Prevention Plus Wellness program. So you show, number 5, you show the screening survey items. They're in the program slide. You have youth write down their answers on a separate sheet of paper. So all they'll need is just a sheet of paper, like this, any kind of paper, pencil, or pen. You'll go through those screening survey and they could answer on a blank sheet of paper. They're going through that process of thinking about their current health habits. That increases awareness of how healthy they are with regard to physical activity, nutrition, sleep, sometimes stress control, and substance use. Then you're going to ask each student again, and this is in the slide, so it's just a matter of following the slides, each of those questions on the screening survey, and you're going to provide feedback tailored to that youth's response. If they've gotten physical activity in the last year, you're going to provide one response from your manual. If they didn't, you're going to provide the other response from the manual. So the slides and the manual together allow you to provide that tailored feedback to that individual youth online when you present your program. Now, when you get to the alcohol question, then you're going to have to be a little more careful. You'll not want to ask them, how many alcoholic drinks have you had in the last 30 days? You'll ask that question. You'll have them answer to themselves And in this case, because you're providing feedback on that item, you'll want them to answer not a specific amount, but a response, A, B, C, D, E, F. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to give you examples of this in slides so you can see how this process works. It's just a matter of protecting the confidentiality of that communication with your youth online. Now you have an option. If you have a video conferencing that allows polling questions, survey questions like Zoom does, you can create a screening, you can take the screening survey that we have and you could just make polling items and you could have the youth complete it that way if you want to. It seems to me to be a lot of extra work when in fact you just show your PowerPoint slides and have youth answer, you know, on a sheet of paper. So, but that's an option. I just wanted to highlight that for you. By the way, if you have any questions about anything I'm asking or telling you about and anything we're covering, jot it down. You could type it into your live chat now or at the end of today's session and we could discuss it. Item number 7, step number 7 is when you ask youth a discussion question, you want them to respond either verbally or via live chat. Now, since you're just implementing this to one youth, I don't see why you wouldn't, if you had the capability to have the video on so you can see your youth as well as they see you, just like you could see me, but I'd see you since you're only talking to one youth, and then they would be able to respond verbally. So it's very much a one-on-one communication. It's just done remotely. It's just done online instead of literally physically face-to-face. So that's the ideal. If you don't have that capability, if your youth doesn't have a microphone, let's say, then they could respond live chat. They can type in brief answers, short answers to your discussion question. No problem. You still have that two-way communication. It's just that it's either verbal or it's through live chat. Step number 8, you're going to read and show the online goal plan contract, which are in your slides, your new PowerPoint slides, or if you want to use the original hard copy version of the goal plan, you could pull that up from your PDF document and show that, just like we're showing this slide here. You could show your goal plan if you want to use the actual goal plan from your program material. So you have an option. You can use the original program goal plan, or you can use the slides of your PowerPoint slides, which really show the components of the online goal plan. At that point, then you could send your youth a link to the online goal plan and they could complete it a second time online. So the first time you can go through your slides, show the questions on the goal plan, have them write it on a sheet of paper, and then send them the link and have them click on it, go to the online goal plan, fill it out a second time. And that second time they could then print it out if they have that capability. But it'll also be recorded with all of your youth who complete a goal plan. So you can track your group's goal planning. What kind of goals are they setting? And that type of thing. So that's good monitoring of program success for you. Then number 9, as I said already, you could send the customized link to the goal plan, or you can actually send a hard copy or email a hard copy of a co-signed goal plan from your PDF document. So you have some options there. Do you want to use the new online goal plan? That seems to me to be the easiest route, but if you don't want to, if you don't like it, you can still use the goal plan that's in your program materials. Step number 10, you're going to send an optional post-test link. If you want to do pre-post test, that's optional. And then we also, under item 11, have an optional instructor survey online. So we also have the instructor survey in your program materials, and that's a process measure. So those are the 11 steps for implementing your Prevention Plus Wellness program online, remotely, one-on-one. I believe in most cases, however, individual providers like yourself, professionals like yourself, will be implementing your Prevention Plus Wellness programs to more than one youth. It may be a handful of youth, it may be a whole classroom. So it could be any number of youth from 2 or 3 or a small group, 5 or 6. to a whole classroom of 20, 25, 30. If that's the case, then this is the protocol you'll be using. Very similar to the one-on-one, but there are some differences. Let me show you what they are, and then I'll give you some examples. Step number one, same thing. You need to have a platform, a video platform. You need to become familiar with it. So the challenge is for providing any prevention program or any education remotely is that in this case, you have to be familiar with the evidence-based program, Prevention Plus Wellness. In addition, you have to be familiar with your platform. So there's a little extra learning and practice that's required of you. So not only do you have to practice the script to your Prevention Plus Wellness program, but you also have to practice implementing it online. And so you should start slow, practice online with a colleague or one or two students so that you get the feel of not just the Prevention Plus Wellness program and showing the slides and reading the script and going through the screening survey and the goal plan, but also the platform. What does it allow you to do? How do you open up and use the live chat? How do you use the audio, video? What are the, and let me say that having used Zoom for a number of years, with the tremendous increase in interest and use of Zoom, they seem to be changing the platform regularly. I'd say within the last week, they've changed it quite a bit, overnight. One day I used it was one way, another day was another. So you have to be familiar and comfortable with it, but it comes, it's not that challenging. It's just a matter of time and practice to get familiar with, so that you feel comfortable communicating on your platform. And so I'm looking at this little green dot, and that's the camera. I don't see anybody, but I feel comfortable looking at it now with practice. And so I'm communicating with you as directly as I can. I could still focus on moving my hands. I can still focus on changing my voice fluctuation. I'm still trying to communicate the best I can with as much enthusiasm and passion as I can, as many examples as I can, and trying to have two-way communication, which in this case we're reserving to the end of today's session because it's a webinar with over 100 people. So step number one, you got your platform. Step number two, you're going to send your youth, your group of youth, a link to let them know when the date and time, and they could click on the link and join the session. That may change depending on what kind of a platform you're using. And if you want to, you could send them a link to your optional pre-test that we provide for you. Step number three, you're going to show your first program slide and provide the introduction to the program following your script. Step number four, you're going to show the screening survey items that are on your program slides. And again, have all of your youth complete the screening survey by writing the answers on a piece of paper. So you may want to pause and say, everybody is going to need a sheet of paper, a couple of sheets of paper, and a pen or pencil before we begin. That's step number four. And you're going to ask each question again. When you get to that content area, and I'll show you how this looks, but you're going to have them answer to themselves in this case. So, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Again, an option of number five is that if you have polling, you can have your group of youth online complete the poll, but you don't want to share the polling responses with your group. Oftentimes in polling, an online polling, you'll have your participants complete a poll and then they'll share the results. You don't want to share the results with your youth because the results are about their health habits. And the reason you don't want to share them is that, for example, one of the questions is, do you usually get 8 hours of sleep most nights? Youth risk behavior survey data show that the majority of youth do not get 8 hours of sleep. And so it's likely that most of your youth will say they aren't getting 8 hours of sleep. And you don't want to share that. You don't want to show that only a third of your youth are getting 8 or more hours of sleep. You don't want to reinforce a negative social norm. And so that's why you have to be a little careful and not share the group data with the group, their screening survey data with the group. Step number 6, and again, these are the steps for implementing your Prevention Plus Wellness program online to a group of youth. Step 6 is when you're asking youth for a discussion question, have them respond verbally if the group is small, or if it's a large group, by chat. So let's say it's a really large group. Let's say I got 30 kids, 30 youth, and then you're going to ask them a question. They're reflecting about their health habits, about what they can do to increase, or what kind of healthy foods they'd like to eat. So they can just type, a couple of words. They could send it to you, give them some time to answer, and then you could read some of the responses. I wouldn't read all 30 responses, but this is an issue of time. So you have to see, if you want more interactivity in your online training, which I think is very important to keep them engaged, but you're also going to want to balance that against your time. Normally, Prevention Plus Wellness programs take about, I'd say, anywhere from 30, 40, 50 minutes, but they can easily stretch, to 50, 60 minutes, depending on how much interactivity you build into it. And you may have just a certain amount of time to present your lessons. So keep that in mind. That all goes back to why I said you do need to practice and get familiar with implementation, and whether you're implementing with a large group or a smaller group, and what tools in your platform you're going to use, whether it's going to be live chat or whether it's going to be, the videos on for your participants, is the microphone on for your participants so you can hear them, and so forth. By the way, if you have video, audio on, you have a small group, what happens generally in most of these platforms is when somebody's speaking, their image will show, their voice will, supersede others. And so it's one person speaking at the same time. If more than one person tries to talk, that ends up being a little bit difficult to hear. And so you may have to set some ground rules, but that's only with a very small group of kids. Let's see where we at. 7, show the online goal plan contract, or the original hard copy. So again, you have an option. You could just show your PowerPoint slides, walk them through the online goal plan, have them completed on a sheet of paper, and then you could send them the next step. You could send them the link to complete it a second time online for themselves as well as for your record, or you can use the original contract in your program materials, pull up that PDF, walk them through it. They can complete it again on a sheet of paper, and then you could send them a hard copy after the fact to fill out. You could send them or email them a hard copy before and have them actually have it in their hand and complete it. So you have some flexibility, some options. So these are things you should think through. And if you have any questions, any comments about any of this, you could always reach out to me. And as we have different agencies and organizations still trying to figure out how they're going to do this for the rest of the year, maybe even next year, as they roll this out, I'm happy to, and I have been interacting with different agencies from throughout the country to help them figure out what's the best strategy for them to provide their programs online with their youth remotely, so that they can continue to provide these essential evidence-based prevention messages to all of their youth, or as many of their youth in their region and state as they can. So then that was 8. You send a customized link to the online goal plan, or you could email them or even mail them a co-signed hard copy. Step number 9 is you could send a link to the optional post test if you want to do pre-post. And number 10 is we can also have your instructor survey online if you want to have, if you have multiple instructors, you want to have them all complete a instructor survey. It's a process self-evaluation tool, but they can also use the hard copy in their program manual. Now, let me show you some slides from the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program for high school adolescents and how this would work if you were presenting this online. So if I'm presenting this online, if there's one youth, you're showing the slide, they can see me If it's just one youth or a handful of youth, you might have the video on so you could see images of your participants. And if you can have the microphone on, the audio on, so that there's a two-way communication, audio communication between you and your student. So it would be most similar to an actual face-to-face kind of a meeting. You can do that if the group is small enough. If it gets too large, it becomes a little bit more challenging. That's a decision that you can make. So following the slides, it cues you complete the health and fitness screen. So the beauty is that our new slides include the screening surveys. So you just show the slides. Remember, you're going to ask your individual youth or your group of youth, depending on how many you're speaking with, to answer these on a sheet of paper. So make sure you give them time to grab some paper, grab a pen or pencil. Question number 1, what sports or physical activities did you play last year? Remember, this is Sport Prevention Plus Wellness High School. And you just go down the list. So if you play baseball or softball, just put a number 1 on your sheet of paper. And if you play baseball or softball, just write baseball or softball in. If you play basketball, write basketball, and so on. And so I'm just going to go down the list: riding a bicycle, dance, cheerleading, gymnastics. As you go through these, if you did any of these, look down the list, just write them on your sheet of paper under number 1. And then I'm going to continue the list. It's a long list: soccer, surfing, swimming, all the way down. And then lastly, it's an others. So have there been some other regional sports or physical activities not on this list, but that we play in our area? Then you could list that here. And don't forget, give yourself credit for any kind of physical activity that results from chores or work, whether you mow the yard or clean the house, or maybe you have a part-time job that requires some physical effort. Write that down. Give yourself credit for any kind of physical activity you did in the last year. Now we're going to question number 2. Do you participate in any physical activity for at least 30 minutes 4 or 5 times a week? For example, riding a bike, running, walking, swimming, playing a sport for 30 minutes or more on most days. So under number 2, you're going to write the answer yes or no if you participate in any physical activity at least 30 minutes 4 or 5 times a week. Just write number 2 and then yes or no. And so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just walking my participants through the screening survey, and they answer each one on their blank sheet of paper. Again, your other option is you can create in some platforms, some video conferencing platforms, you can create, like Zoom, you can create a polling, set of polling questions, and you can have them answer that way. Then it's rather than a sheet of paper, then it's a little bit more fun for them perhaps. And then if it's an individual youth, you can look at that together, you and them, and then you're going to respond and provide feedback based on how they answered each one of these items. If you have your group of youth complete a polling survey, you don't want to show the results to your group. Again, for example, let's take question number 4. Do you usually eat a healthy breakfast each morning? National Youth Risk Behavior Survey data shows that most youth do not eat a breakfast. So it's likely that your high school students that you're presenting this to, 40%, 30%, I don't know, less than the majority will say that they eat a breakfast. And you don't want to communicate that to your group, because that is an unhealthy norm belief. So we don't want to support or increase any negative beliefs, making it harder for them to actually engage in these healthy behaviors like getting regular breakfast. I hope you understand what I'm talking about there. If not, you can ask me a question. 8 or more hours of sleep, and then there's a substance use question here. It's alcohol, last 30 days. What's the greatest number of alcoholic drinks you had at any one time? 5 or more drinks, all the way down to 0 drinks. Now here is where I'm talking about. Obviously, if you're talking to a group of youth, you don't want to share that result with the rest of the group. And if you're presenting this to a single individual youth, you're going to tailor your feedback depending on how they answer that question. So And you want to protect them in case other people are listening in their setting during this lesson. So you're going to want to ask, so you have to think about, how am I going to do that? You don't want to have them answer, oh, I've had 5 or more drinks or 3 drinks. You're going to probably, one way to get around this, as I can see, is you can have them answer A, B, C, D, E, or F. So that way it's, so if somebody is listening on, they don't know what that means. They don't know what that response is. Maybe you have some other ideas as to how you can protect them, but you're gonna, if you implement this one-on-one, you do need that feedback from that one individual youth so that you can provide feedback tailored to that response. If you have them complete a polling question, they did that without saying anything, that's one strategy you can use and not, not have to verbalize it so that someone couldn't hear what the answer is. So remember, if you present your Prevention Plus Wellness program online to a single youth, normally what you'd want to do when you do this face-to-face is you want to have a private or semi-private setting, because you're talking to one youth about their individual habits. And this is particularly sensitive when you get to question 6 in the high school version of sport, because you're talking about their alcohol use. So that needs to be protected, that confidentiality. Now your slides now have built in a repeat of each of the screening survey questions. So at this point, you could ask the question again, what sports or physical activities did you play in the last year? And if you're presenting it to one youth, based on how they answer that at this point in time, you can provide feedback. When you present this to the whole group, this question you're going to want feedback on. And so you can, and you'll see this in your scripts for those of you familiar with the Prevention Plus Wellness program. If you present this in a group setting for this item, for this screening survey measure of physical activity in the last year, you want them to respond. So you can have them respond live chat. You could read some of the responses. Everybody could see that, oh yeah, my peers are physically active. That's a good thing. So that's where we're showing a positive norm. My peers are physically active. Why? Because we went back a whole year and we're including any kind of physical activity, sports, work, anything. And but that's a very powerful and positive image where we're promoting that my peers and friends are active. Then you are presenting your content, you're reading your script, you're showing your slides that are highlighting those positive image terms about looking fit and active and strong. Very, very powerful, elicits those positive images of themselves, desired images of themselves in the future, increases motivation for change, showing how substance use, particularly alcohol, interferes with and harms those positive behaviors, those wellness behaviors and images and benefits. And then you go on to the next question, the next screening survey question. Next screening survey question is, do you participate in any physical activity for at least 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week? If you're implementing this one-on-one, you can have your youth answer yes or no. If they answer yes, you can provide feedback for the yes. If they answer no, you can provide feedback for the no. If you're presenting this to a group, you just say, just answer it to yourself. Answer this to yourself. You've already answered it on your screening survey a minute ago. Just think about it right now. And again, ask yourself this, provide your feedback. Then we've integrated some discussion questions. So there's more interaction, which is particularly important online. And this one is, what types of sports or other physical activities would you like to try or do more of? And now here's where you can have feedback and some discussion. You can spend as much time or as little time as you want, but here's an opportunity to make sure your group is, or your youth is engaged. If it's 1 or 2 or a handful of students, they could just respond verbally. If it's a larger group, you could have them type in their chat option so that they're engaged, they're thinking and they're responding. And then everybody can see some of those responses. Then you provide, again, content, and then you get to the end of your slides, and this is something new we've added. This is the recommendations for increasing wellness. This is a part of most of our Prevention Plus Wellness Go plans. It's just a review and recommendation. You want your youth engaged in all the healthy behaviors, sleep and nutrition and activity. Also avoid alcohol and all the other substance use. And then you're going to be cued to complete a goal plan. Now, here's your option. You could pull up the PDF of the original goal plan in your program materials if you want, if you're going to send or email a copy to them, or you could just walk them through the slides and have them complete it and show the one that is on the online, and then send them the link to it. But here's the online goal plan. And by the way, remember, we could send your organization a customized link so that you can collect data from your youth on how they're setting their goals. For example, number one, there's some demographics, age, gender, so forth. But number two, they're going to identify which substances they choose to avoid. Do they want to avoid alcohol, marijuana, e-cigarettes? They can avoid all of them. It gives them some decision-making power. Number three, they're going to identify a measurable, healthy habit, a protective wellness habit to improve. You'll see what that is. Number four, they're going to identify who's going to co-sign this along with me. 5, a specific location for posting. 6, feedback on what they like best and least about the program lesson. That's feedback that you can use as a provider, as an instructor, and as an organization to promote and market your program and to improve it over time. And then lastly, they're going to be able to rate on a 5-point star scale the contract itself. What they thought about the contract. So a lot of feedback if you use the link. There's a link under the heading to the left that says Online Goal Plan Contract. There's a link. You can click on it and go to it and check it out yourself if you want to. And when I send you this PDF document, you'll be able to do that today. So you have an option. You could walk your participants through this goal plan, have them completed on a sheet of paper, or walk them through the PDF of the goal plan in your manual. Have them completed online, have them completed on a sheet of paper, and then you could either send them the link to the online program, online goal plan to complete, or you could send them a copy, a hard copy of the goal plan in your manual to complete. So those are your two options. You also have an optional online pre-post test survey. So that's the beauty of doing this online. You could just send a link to your participants before the lesson, after the lesson. It could be a day before, a week before, doesn't really matter. And then as they complete their surveys, you can look at them and see if you're having an impact between the pre-test and the post-test. So what are we measuring pre to post-test? 2 key indicators or predictors of substance use and healthy behaviors. Behavioral intention, which research shows is the most highly predictive measure of future behaviors, and perceived harmfulness of substances. And your measures include 5 substance use behaviors. I think it's alcohol, marijuana, tobacco, e-cigarettes, and other illegal drugs, and 4 wellness habits: physical activity, nutrition, sleep, and stress control. A lot of good data, pre and post, and then you could assess and monitor program effects over time very easily. We can also put this, the instructor survey online, or you could have your instructors or you as an instructor complete it at the end of every lesson or at the end of every week, so that you can just assess your quality of implementation on those 7 items, your level of comfort. And this may be particularly important because you're not presenting this face-to-face, you're presenting this online. So that may have an impact on, for example, your level of comfort, active presenting strategies, level of enthusiasm, the flow of your lesson, the accuracy of you following your script, the content that was completed, and the youth's responsiveness. So really good measures of a program implementation process that should be completed, and you can do that with your hard copy in your manual, from your manual, or you can use an online version. Now, that's how you can implement your Prevention Plus Wellness program online, remotely, with 1 youth or with 2 or more youth. You can also implement your program with video. Now, some organizations, you're just implementing it once, recording it, sending out a recording. Another is to actually use a video that we're producing, showing the slides with the music, with the slide transitions, background music, that kind of thing. And it's just really, it's just a single step. You send the link to the video and a link to the goal plan, and they complete it. But if you want to send a pre-test first, that's step 1. And if you want to send an optional post-test, that's step number 3. So, but if you don't use a pre and post-test, it's really one step. Makes it very easy because you're just sending your youth a link to the video recorded program, and as well as a link to, once they're done viewing it, they can complete a goal plan. So you can get some sense of how well that video may have worked for you. But you can also send a link before the video and after the video of a pre and post test to help you assess whether that video is effective. Very simple versus the online live, which ends up being a little bit more effort on your part. But the live has the advantage of having interaction. So that's the key difference between a live presentation and a recorded one. Now we have a video clip if you want to see the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness high school program in a 2-minute clip to get a sense of what it looks like. You can just click on that YouTube and view that. And again, I'll be sending you this PDF. And then you could also just search under Prevention Plus Wellness YouTube videos and you'll find it as well. You can also request the whole video if you want to review it and see if it's something that you'd want to use in your for your youth. Now, what are the program online training and resources that we provide? Well, we provide this training for free. We're doing it, I would say, every week, maybe now every other week. And then we're also recording it and putting a link on our website. In addition, we are putting on our website, we just, in fact, we just loaded it today. Number 2, the program, PPW Programs remote online protocols that we went through in this training. Those are going to be listed online for you. That's free. If you want an order one of our videos, let's say the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program for high school students, you could purchase the video. It's $4.99 for one instructor, and they could use it for share with as many youth as they want. Also, number 4, we've got our traditional 2-hour live online Prevention Plus Wellness Program implementer training. It's $199 an instructor, and we're changing that training now to emphasize, obviously at this point in time, a little bit more about how you can provide your scripted PPW program online in addition to hopefully someday face-to-face with you. Number 5, we also have a 2-hour live online training of trainer workshop. If you want to train other implementers, whether those are other professionals or even youth, to implement your Prevention Plus Wellness program. It's $349 an instructor. Number 6, our updated program, Prevention Plus Wellness programs with updated digital downloads and slides are $4.99 per instructor. And all of this will be listed on our website under the heading of COVID-19 resources. And there's a link to that. So in summary, conclusion, first of all, Prevention Plus Wellness programs can now be provided online, live or by video as alternatives to implementing them face-to-face. Very, and it's much more practical because of the advantages, the brevity of Prevention Plus Wellness programs. It's just easy to make that transition and to provide your Prevention Plus Wellness lesson online than it would be for, other multi-session prevention programs. Secondly, Prevention Plus Wellness program resources include the free program online training webinar. We have it here. We offer it live every couple of weeks. We have a recording of it. The PPW program remote online protocols, which we're posting, you can access anytime. We have a PPW programs with digital downloads of updated slides and recorded videos. Thirdly, we have customizable online links to PPW program goal plans, as well as a pre-post test. And this allows your organization to actually have greater accountability and monitoring of program fidelity with less effort than it would be for you to collect these documents and enter the data or scan them and then take a look at them, because your data is being entered by your students online. So I think that's the big takeaway advantage of online implementation. You have this ability to track program fidelity and effectiveness. Have any questions? Need any help? You could always reach us here in Jacksonville, Florida, 904-472-5022. info@preventionpluswellness.com. The best thing to do is go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com, enter your email, and then you'll be able to keep up to date with all of our free webinars and materials and so on. Here's a shot of our website, preventionpluswellness.com, COVID-19 solutions to PPW. And that's it. Thank you. I'm going to stop at this point. We've got time. I ran a little long, about 5 minutes left. I'm happy to stay as long as you stay. Let me know. Find your live chat on your screen. Open it up if you haven't done so. And if you have a question, if you have a comment about how to implement Prevention Plus Wellness programs online, video, any of our resources, materials, any of our programs, even broader questions about how would you do just generally prevention online during these extraordinary times, go ahead and type your questions in. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a moment to say thank you. God bless you for all you do, for making a difference in the lives of youth and families in your communities throughout the country and world. So thank you. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to work with you. And if there's anything I could do to help at any time, just let me know. I'm happy to do it. It's so important for our young people to get these evidence-based prevention messages now as even perhaps more than ever. And so online is the way to do it. Online is the solution. You have some other options as we talked about, but if you can do it live online, that's good. If you can do it video, that's fine. If you can do it, by phone, correspond, whatever you can do to reach out to you, stay connected with them, provide those essential positive messages to, risks associated with substance use, but also promoting protective wellness behaviors. And that's what we offer at preventionpluswellness.com. So, but again, let me know if I could help. For as long as you use our programs or are considering using them, I'm here to assist you. So let's see if we have any questions. You're welcome. Thank you. You have a wonderful day as well. I don't see any questions. Let me just give everybody a couple more minutes to see if there are any questions, any comments, anything at all with regard to Prevention Plus Wellness online. You can go to preventionpluswellness.com, and under the More heading, M-O-R-E, there'll be a drop down, and at the very bottom of it, there'll be a link to the COVID-19 resources. But then under the More heading, there's a bunch of other resources. So whether you use our programs or not, there's some free things there that you might be interested in using, web-based resources for youth, for parents, about prevention, about wellness. And we try to provide as much as we can at no cost and low cost, and as well as for those that have the resources and grants to provide our evidence-based programs. Okay, I'm gonna just make sure, because I think it was not too long ago I did one of these, do these regularly every week, these webinars and training, and then somebody says, oh, we didn't have enough time, enough time for Q&A, and there was no questions and answers. No questions to provide answers to. So I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Everybody has a chance to find that live chat. If you are going to provide Prevention Plus Wellness programs or any prevention program, clearly you need to get familiar with your online platform, play with it, have fun with it, explore it, use all the options, like Zoom, for example, actually has, you can pull down a pen or paintbrush and arrows, and if you want to highlight things when you show prevention plus wellness slides, you're welcome to do that. But the reality is, I think for our program, it's so brief and there's so much going on, you really don't need all those little bells and whistles. So, but that doesn't mean that you might not want to use them with your other instruction or providing other prevention content. Okay, good morning. Hi. Thank you for the webinar. Have a great day. You guys have a great day too. Thank you for the information. Thank you for being here, for all you do. Good stuff. Thank you so much. I'll send everybody, remember, an email with the link to the this session recorded, a link to the PDF slides from today, and an attached certificate for 1 hour CEU. So let's see here. Are you doing online sport prevention plus wellness program implemented training workshop tomorrow? Actually, we have it scheduled. I thought there were some people that were going to register for. That's a 2 hour training, a paid training. It's $199 a person. I don't recall checking earlier today. I haven't seen anybody's registered for it. So I'll leave it open until, you know, certainly later today, maybe even tomorrow morning before we close it. So last week we had a nice number, a small number. We were able to tailor it to, I think, 6 or 8 people we had. That's really an ideal number because we can really address people's issues and concerns and tailor the content to the training. So if you are interested, let me know. If you need help, you can go on to our website, preventionpluswellness.com. Go under the training, and then there's an online training. Click on that. You can order that up. Let me know. I could send you the link if you don't have it to register, and we can definitely have that. That's scheduled for tomorrow, this time, which is 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Western time. So let me know. Happy to do that. Okay, that was a great question. That's it. All right, we're up. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. Take care of yourselves. Be healthy. Exercise. Eat nutritiously. Get some sleep. I've noticed it. I'm sure it's happening to everybody. Additional stress, the changes, the worries, and so on. Try to get some relaxation in and take care of yourselves because your kids need you, your families need you. And so anything I could do to help, let me know. Thank you. God bless you. Have an awesome day today. Bye-bye, everybody.